What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Galvatronus' favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Infinite Finity Lunacyte with a Y, Eris Lunacyte, which was an exclusive recently and on loan to me from Richard H., the last of his care package that he sent. Anxious to get all this stuff back to him, hopefully without a scratch on it. This is obviously a repaint slash retool of their female Tarn. So because we've done Tarn from robot to alt mode, we'll use our time here to go from alt mode to robot so that both ways are covered on the channel in typical Skullface fashion. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started, but in order to do so, we need to start with the accessories. So she only comes with one accessory, and it's a well done accessory. So we have the base plastic here with gray accents and silver accents added, and then you have this nice barrel here that goes from like a deeper red down to a brighter orange translucent. Ends up bringing it to life a fair bit. I appreciate that. And in alt mode, that can be stowed right between the two legs. And that can also attach to her forearm using this peg and this peg. She also comes with a stoic, if a bit more boring face than the one that she comes stock with the figure that we'll get to when we get to robot mode. There's just so much personality in the other one, I'm not sure why you would use this one. But it's here, and the lips are painted a darker gray. And there we have alt mode. There it is next to Tiger Track, so about the size of an MP car. And it's fine. You know, I actually think that it works slightly better than the Tarn. The Tarn seemed to like just protrude a lot more out to the front. It's always seemed a little off balance. Like the turret doesn't want to sit at the back of the vehicle. It wants to sit at the front of the vehicle, which I just think is a weird look, you know, and there's no changing that really. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if you could flip the legs forward. I don't know if it would fit, but it's, you know, it's an exclusive, right? It's not the worst idea for an exclusive, given that they were going to retool this, slash repaint this. The turret does move, obviously. It goes up and down because it operates off the hips. So you get a pretty big rotation there. Silver paint, gray paint, helps break it up. You got the red bits there at the front. Mine doesn't want to stay tabbed in 100%. I can't remember if I had that issue with the Tarn as well, but it doesn't seem sort of as rock solid. I still love the turret, and even that has come loose a bit, but needless to say, it's a good looking cannon, and the cannon helps both modes. So let's go ahead and get her transformed. So untab here, remove the weapon, and then rotate the legs back, untab them, and straighten them out. That means straightening out the ankle or the kind of shin as well. We can back out a little bit. Same for this side. The knees will adjust themselves. Bring the toes forward, and the heels you can kind of adjust as need be when you get her balanced and whatnot. Let's see what else we can do. Spin the waist 180. All right. Then we can untab this, get the head out. This face might come off. It has come off a fair bit for me. And then untab the arms. And you can untab these as well. You can bring the chest up. You can bring the body down. The chest will tab into the front there. The bits here, this can collapse. Does that collapse? Let's see. This here comes up and rotates to the back. Same for this armature. Just rotate it around to the back. You can kind of give yourself as much room as you'd like, and then drop the shoulders down. And these always eat me up. There we go. And I'm not even sure if that's the exact right configuration. You can sort of, we'll talk about it when we get to robot mode, but there's a little bit of wiggle room in how you have these shoulders mounted. That comes across on the back. tab in your armatures to it, and then the backpack just compresses and sits a little bit differently than it did for Tarn. It sits lower into the back, but you can have it any which way you'd like. And lastly, open up these forearms, extend them, and then plug them back in, and then adjust at the bicep and adjust at the wrist. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Open up, extend them, plug in, adjust at the bicep, adjust at the wrist, and I think that's it. I'll clean her up. We'll take a look at her. Real quick before we go to robot mode, I forgot a couple things. So this piece flips down, and this piece flips down. That frees up the torso. And there's also these covers here that wrap around to kind of cover the thigh pieces. Now I'll clean her up and take a look at her. And we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis, and I love it. I love it. I love the expression on this head. Now, obviously she has the other more stoic face, but this has so much more character in it. So much more. The mouth, I think the whole thing is painted the gray, the black on the mouth, and then the white on the teeth, and the metallic red for the eyes. The face does have a tendency to pop off. That's something I've noticed in my handling of the figure, so move accordingly. The head is on a ball peg. You get a little bit up, great bit down. Actually, even that ball peg is on a hinge. And then you get the swivel and the confused Galvatronus look. So all of that works well. For the torso, you have enough paint here to really start kind of making it look like something. So you have the flat purple plastic, red accents, gray accents, white accents, more red accents, more white accents. It really helps bring the thing to life. Red on the abdomen, all of that helps. You have an ab crunch that gets you almost all the way over and a little bit back. Let me get this out of the way. Oh no, good bit back. And then you have the waist swivel, teapot, etc. You have the shoulders. Now the shoulders are a little wonky because there's so many moving pieces, but you have a butterfly, and then you can kind of even get more out of that armature if you manipulate it and move it around to get her all the way across the chest. You get up to a little bit past 90 degrees. You got to get the head out of the way, and then you get the 360 around. The treads move. I don't know why I like that for the robot mode, but I do. Gray and silver accents, white paint there, all of that works nicely. You have a bicep swivel just above the elbow. The elbow gets you 90 degrees. The wrists are on a ball peg, so you get a little bit all around, plus you get a hinge in out. And the fingers are individually articulated for better or worse on tiny, tiny hinges with ball pegs at the bottom of at least the first two to help you get it all out of the way. So lots of articulation there, but use caution. Because I don't know, because they're just little itty bitty fingers. And then the thumb is on a ball peg at the base knuckle, and then you have a secondary and tertiary hinge. So the hands are completely independently and individually articulated, for better or worse. I'm not sure if all that was needed, but it's there if you want it. So, same for the other side, obviously. Hips, once again, little wonky. So they look a little strange. Like, it looks like you should be able to collapse them a bit more, but you can't. And if you ratchet it up, then it looks weird. And if you bring it all the way down, it looks weird as well. So you kind of got to have it like somewhere out in the center. I don't know. Looks a little strange to me. Nice accents, though, on the pelvis for paint. Articulation-wise, you can use both hinges and get you out to about there. Forward and back, you're always operating off of like that triangle shape, so it gets a little wonky. But the nice thing is you can rotate at the top of the knee, which usually is kind of a useless articulation joint if you have a thigh swivel, which this also does. But because the angle of the hips go off to the side, you can kind of center the foot back for a pose. So that actually is of some use and benefit. So that's actually a nice thing. These bits here on the side add some flair, some gray accents there, up in there, all that works. The knees, you have this knee pad that you can cover down. They are single hinge knees, but they get you the full range. And all that moves out of the way on its own. Nice red accents there on the shins. And then ankles or feet. So you get an ankle tilt up, a toe tilt up, ankle tilt down. It's really a toe tilt down, but I say we give it to them. And then a rocker here, but then you can also adjust the midway on the shin to get you a little bit extra, and it doesn't look ridiculous, which is nice. You have the backpack, which I think is meant to be kept down on her, but you could always, you could always just flip it up, right? That's how the Tarn was, if memory serves. Up to you, your preference, your toy. But I think it's meant to be like this on her to give her a little bit of a different look. Let me double check with the box. No. Actually, they have it up as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like that quite as much. Let me see here. So they have it like this with this piece open here in the center. I don't know. I don't know if that screams Galvatron to me. I guess. I kind of feel like, I don't know, give her a more distinguished look, more all shoulders and crest, and bulks are out a little bit. But, your toy, your choice. I'm not here to tell you how to display it, you know what I mean? But there's some options at least, especially if you have the Tarn, something just to set them a bit more apart. A little bit loosey-goosey hips, which is a little fiddly overall, to be honest, but the hips don't help it. So there's nothing really even available for size comparison. So there it is next to the reformatted Rodimus, and she's significantly taller, so it's definitely more in line with a greater scale, a larger scale, for whatever that's worth. Even though stylistically it sort of fits in with reformatted, it's definitely its own beast. I'm guessing it'll fit in with the upcoming Drift a bit better, but time will tell. Final thoughts-wise, we'll start with the negatives. My hips are loose. That maybe in individual results will vary, but I feel like it rarely is. It's also uncommon with MMC, so who knows? I'm also not crazy about the hip design in general. I think they do sort of account for it with the swivel above the knee, but just generally speaking, it doesn't work for me. And then objectively, I don't really have a whole lot more. Subjectively, I have a ton. I don't like that the turret sits at the front of the tank. It feels weird and off balance somehow. Some of the connection points don't lock super tight for me. One being the backpack into the arms, another one being the heels of the shoes back into the thigh. There's just a few weird connections. My face has a tendency to keep popping off. This is far from a perfect figure, in my opinion. But to be fair, I have to acknowledge I have far more subjective criticisms than I do objective ones. Moving on to positives. A ton of character comes through in that face sculpt. It looks fantastic. Ton of articulation in the hips and shoulders, knees and ankles, wrists and fingers for better or worse. In fact, so much so that the 90-degree elbow seems a little limited. Tons of waist articulation as well. Forgot to mention that. I like the different backpack display options. The transformation is pretty fun and straightforward. And I do think there's enough color breakup here to make this character look like a higher quality piece than it actually is. It sort of presents as if it's wearing the Emperor's new clothes, and that's because they used paint apps sort of sparingly but cleverly in just the right places to kind of make this figure come to life. So I think if you're interested in this, you'll enjoy it. It's good enough. If you're not, like me, there's nothing about it that would make you want to spend the extra money. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.